When you think about a negotiation, what usually comes to mind? It's the words, right? The offers, the counteroffers, all that careful phrasing. But what if I told you there's a whole other conversation happening, a totally silent one that can actually change the entire game? So yeah, let's dive into that hidden layer of communication. Seriously, take a second and think about that. Is it the person with the best offer, the one who's the smoothest talker, or is it something else entirely? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now. All right, so let's start with what most of us already know. The standard playbook for nonverbal cues when things get tense. I mean, this is negotiation 101, isn't it? We're all taught to watch for the tells, that nervous foot tap, the overly confident posture, a quick glance away. And yeah, knowing how to read those signals is absolutely crucial. It gives you a peek behind the curtain. But that's only half the story. Okay, now we're going to flip the script. What if body language wasn't just a window you look through, but a tool you could actively use to paint a picture for someone else? This is where it gets really, really interesting. So this is the default setting, right? The passive mode. We're just sitting there, observing, trying to collect little bits of data to get an edge by figuring out what our opponent is giving away. And boom, here's the twist. The dark mode. This is a huge shift. You're no longer just an observer in the game. You're an active player in a psychological chess match. You're not just reading the room anymore. You're writing the script. So look, here's the fundamental difference. On one side, you've got influence, which is all about reading your opponent. Think of it as defensive intelligence gathering. But on the other side, you have manipulation through misleading. And that's offensive information warfare. It's the difference between listening to the story and telling the story you want them to hear. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? Let's get into some specific, concrete techniques you can use to project a reality that, well, serves you best. Here are 4 core plays from this toolkit. Each one is designed to create a very specific and completely false impression in your opponent's head. Let's break them down. First up, faking being nervous. So imagine this. You are holding an amazing hand, but you act uncertain. You fidget a little, you don't make a ton of eye contact. What does your opponent see? They see someone who's about to crack. So they lower their guard, maybe get a little cocky, and push too hard. You're essentially using the appearance of weakness to hide your real strength. And of course, there's the flip side of that coin, projecting absolute calm. Maybe inside you're totally scrambling. You have no idea what to do next. But on the outside, cool as a cucumber. Your posture is relaxed, your breathing is slow and even. This can be super intimidating, making your opponent think your position is rock solid when it's anything but. Oh, this next one is a classic, especially when you're making a deal. Let's say they put an offer on the table that is exactly what you were hoping for. Instead of lighting up, you look meh, a little indifferent, maybe even disappointed. This can pressure the other person to sweeten a deal that was already a huge win for you. Now, this last one, this might be the most subtle and the most powerful of all. You act worried, you seem concerned, making it look like your opponent clearly has the upper hand. You let them feel like they're the ones driving this whole thing. And why on earth would you do that? Simple. Because an opponent who feels comfortable, maybe even a little arrogant, is a careless opponent. And all of this, all these little deceptive plays, they all lead to one masterstroke. This is the real strategic aim. It's not just about winning 1 point or getting a better price. It's about fundamentally seizing the entire dynamic of the negotiation. This is the end game. By faking nerves or acting worried, you literally hand your opponent the feeling of being in charge. So they relax, they get comfortable, and they stop looking for the real threat, which is you. And that is the exact moment you actually take control, all while they think they're running the show. So, we've pulled back the curtain on a pretty powerful and yeah, maybe a little unsettling side of human interaction. This knowledge is now yours, and that brings us to a really important choice you have to make. So what are you gonna do with this information? Will you just become a better observer, better at defending yourself from these kinds of tactics? Or will you start using them yourself? And this isn't just some philosophical question. It's a real, practical one for your next important conversation. And really, that's the bottom line. Your body is always communicating, always sending signals, whether you like it or not. The only choice you have is whether those signals are accidental or deliberate. So what story are you going to tell?